Yeah, I do appreciate that, but yeah, happy summer to you too. But no, it is not the longest day of the year. All days are the same length. It is the highest number of hours of daylight in a day for the year. I know that's all right. Anyway, yeah. Happy solstice to you too. Okay. Hey, welcome to summer. And boy, does it ever feel like summer here. We are in season 4, episode 14 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. That's me. We are fueled by Gales Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem and supported by Virgin Insurance Group Limited, Hartsel Marine, as well as Ace Alignment. That's the full contingent of our wonderful supporters, except of course for this lovely establishment that we are now ready to enter, Fiddler's Poorhouse on St. Paul Street in downtown St. Catharines. And what a beautiful summer day to kick off summer. We've got a really full show for you today. A couple of people that you've seen, well, 2 or 3 people actually now you've seen on the program before with updates on what's happening in their lives. Justin Preston is going to be here. Dave Bennisson of Historical Niagara is going to be joining us as well with a couple of different stories. That's sort of a twofer, 2 stories in one there. Jasmine Jasudavicius, I call her Jasudavicius, UFC fighter from Niagara, is now 3-1 on her career with the UFC, and also remember that terrible explosion in January of this year at Ssonix in Port Weller. Well, the young man that was killed in that explosion had a significant other by the name of Natalie. Nati's going to be joining us as she tries to keep the dream alive here in Niagara. So we have a lot of dreams to keep alive, and always remember that you can join us at any time. When we get rolling here, you'll see a link at the bottom of the page. You can click on it and come on in and pass your opinion on anything we're talking about or bring up something new, okay? So we will be back here with episode 14 of season 4 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry right after this. Come on in. Here we are. What an absolutely spectacular way to kick off summer officially. I know we always think of that long weekend in May as the official or unofficial start of summer, but this really started it. Here today, ladies and gentlemen, on the right side of your screen, the lovely and talented Kevin Jack, co-founder of WeeStream, executive producer type dude for this program here. Kevin, it's been a couple of weeks. You had a birthday. Happy birthday a few days later.
Thank you very much. And we both celebrated Father's Day.
We did indeed.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot of dads, a lot of people, you know, when you get to going through your Facebook pages and all the rest of it, there are so many of us, so many of you that are saluting and remembered their fathers in heaven that are no longer around. And I think, you know, it's a wonderful day of reflection, but it's also a good time to be reminded to, while your dad is here, appreciate him just like you do your mom and whatever is. We shouldn't need a day to appreciate these people in our lives, but those special days do help us perhaps focus a little bit more on it. So I hope you all had a wonderful family time over Father's Day weekend, and welcome to summer. Kevin, let's kick off with one of the things that was one of the, I guess, big stories of the week. Anytime that you have a threat to elementary age children and schools, it's a big deal. And this came out on Monday. Niagara Catholic offers the following update regarding today's hold and secure across the system. At 4:15, the board received the following correspondence from Niagara Regional Police. They continue to actively investigate the threat. They received a threat. And they did not articulate clearly what that threat specifically was. At this time, police have discovered no evidence to suggest the threat originated from within Canada. Based on this information, the hold and secure operation order will be lifted. They did have a hold and secure in place for all of the Catholic District of Niagara School Board schools, but the threat actually only came into one particular school, as I recall, but they did not name that school. So the detectives investigated after threats at the Niagara Catholic District School Board. These are long titles of organizations. Uniform officers from Welland Pelham alerted to possible online threats in connection with the Niagara Catholic District School Board, and the hold and secure order was put in place. Then it was removed, as I mentioned, and with no corroboration that the threat was legitimate. They didn't tell us where the threat actually came from or what particular school it was aimed at. And I know I'm dangling a lot of participles here, so for all of you grammatical police out there, forgive me, I know what I'm doing when I say at the end of a sentence. Okay, so yes, that was something a little scary for parents and school children, because anytime something like this happens, and Kevin, you fall right into this category of having young children in a school here in Niagara, we always tend to think the worst. And I suppose that's okay, as opposed to taking things too lightly and ignoring the information. Just because you think it's not going to happen doesn't mean it can never happen to you. And after all the horrible stories that you hear that happen in schools in the U.S. and some in Canada as well, you have to be careful. You have to err on the side of caution, I suppose. And I would assume that you and your family would appreciate the schools overreacting as opposed to underreacting.
Yeah, very much so. I'm glad that that's the approach that they take.
Yeah.
On Monday, I was in a golf tournament over the river, so I was in an entire other country, and the tournament kind of ground to a halt when this information leaked onto our cell phones through Niagara 411. You know, word got around our foursome, the group in front of us, behind us. Hey, what's going on? Do you have kids at Niagara Catholic? Do you have any? Yeah, what's going on? Do you hear any news?
Yeah.
And kind of quickly realized that the situation or the threat seemed to be under control. But it was a little more heartwarming when they clarified, I guess, a day later as to, okay, here's what transpired and here's what they were going on.
Mm-hmm. And again, no issues, no problems. Due to the unknown nature of the threats, out of an abundance of caution, the Niagara Catholic School Board placed a hold and secure on schools in the region. Good stuff. I guess it's a little bit like being awakened in the middle of the night with those Amber Alert things. I know it's disconcerting, but for the grace of, go us. Better to be alerted than not alerted, and then something crappy happens. So there we go. Kevin, there was another one of those vandal type nuisance things going on here in Niagara over the past week as well. This guy, where are we going? Are we going to the
sorry,
the
I forgot
crosswalk?
that I was scrolling there on screen.
Are we going to the crosswalk?
Yeah, I think we go to the crosswalk in Niagara on the Lake because the police made an arrest, and I guess to nobody's surprise, it was a youth.
A youth? Yeah. Did you say youth? So there's a rainbow crosswalk in Niagara on the Lake, Niagara Stone Road, and I can't recall the intersection.
It's right where the community center is, and the new fire hall is across from. So some person, some youth, as it turns out, was on an ATV and was doing like sort of burnouts on the road on the rainbow crosswalk. People were all up in arms about the potential significance of doing this on a rainbow crosswalk. And we don't really know what motivated this young man, but eventually what happened, a young person, I guess, I don't know if you call a 15-year-old a young man or not, but nevertheless, it was a 15-year-old that ended up being apprehended as a result of them finding out he was the one that did this on this ATV. And of course, he cannot be, or was not, let's put it, I'm not sure that he cannot be, but I don't think so. He was charged not under the criminal code, but what was the name of this this thing that they call it? The alternate justice something or other. I've got that
I got that here somewhere.
I mean, here are the photos that they released of this Yahoo.
Yeah. Oh, they call it... Okay, so he was not charged criminally, but subjected to the rules and regulations included in extrajudicial measures. Right? So, just in case you don't know what those are, like if a 15-year-old gets on his ATV and goes and goes nuts on a public crosswalk, be it rainbow or otherwise, extrajudicial means outside the court. And I'm reading here, so I'm looking away. Extrajudicial measures aim to hold a young person accountable without proceeding through the formal court process. The YCIA encourages the use of extrajudicial measures in all cases where they're adequate to hold a young person accountable. So this young person will be held accountable in some way, shape, or form through official channels, the Extrajudicial Measures Act. All right? Now, sliding along this same scale, we have a young man coming up who is a friend of the program and has been here before. And I'd like to think the program is a friend of his as well as everyone else here in Niagara. Justin Preston is founder of Rise Against Bullying. He's also the national ambassador for Kids Help Phone. And he was front and center in a demonstration, if you want to call it that, back to school boards. The District School Board of Niagara had this demonstration. They didn't hold the demonstration, but it was in front of the District School Board of Niagara, not the Catholic Board yet, but there on one side of the street there were the protesters, on the other side of the street were the LGBTQ plus members of the community, and it got pretty ugly at some points. There was some very nasty stuff posted online and or said in public, etc. And frankly, I don't really know. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't really know all the ins and outs of what happened behind the scenes and how these protests and anti-protests ever got started in the first place. But that's what Justin is going to be here to talk about. And there's another protest that just took place yesterday, I guess, Kevin. Another demonstration. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, these are the images that I'm showing from the Niagara Catholic
from
District
the Niagara
School Board.
Catholic District School Board. And that was just yesterday. The other one was about a week ago. I drove past it, as a matter of fact, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? And I'm not sure. Are we becoming even less tolerant? We have been trying to preach tolerance and understanding and inclusivity in our culture, but are we getting less tolerant? Are there more people driving around in white vans with 8,000 flags on them yelling freedom for all? Freedom from what? For whom? I don't know. Shame on you is what we're saying. For what? Are we back to the stories for school children in libraries issue again? Is that what we're doing? Story time for kids? All right.
Yeah, so that video, Lee, that was from the DSBN.
That one was.
The early images were from last night. We'll get an update from Justin, but it seems as though they voted against flying only the Canadian flag.
Yeah, I guess there was a movement in front of the board to have them fly only the Canadian flag. No pride flags, no chocolate for lunch flags, or any of those kinds of things. So anyway, Justin is going to. And I don't want to make light of it, but gee whiz, people, come on. Here's the old line from way back in the 70s. Can't we all just get along? Come on, life is too short. Anyway, so Justin's coming up at about 12:40. One of our other friends of the program, Dave Bennisson, is going to be here, and this is sort of a twofer story, as I mentioned off the top. We have done a lot of content over the last number of weeks and months, etc. People that have been in search of a kidney donor, people that have received donations of kidneys, people that have kidney disease and are afraid that they're going to be on waiting lists for a long, long time. And there seems to be a really increase, maybe it's just because we're hearing more about it, in the issue of kidney disease. Dave Bennisson is one that is going through that right now, and he is one of the very, very few in Niagara, and I mean few, like a handful or less, of people that do home dialysis treatments And I thought it would be worthwhile perhaps to have him explain what he is going through in this process. Now, the second part of the story is he's involved with an organization called Historical Niagara. You probably see his posts on Niagara 411 as well. By the way, hi, Nick. Always a pleasure to be associated with you and Niagara 411 and all of your participants again. Hi to Nick's mom. So Dave Bennisson is going to be joining us probably about 5 minutes. Natalia Sepulveda Lastra. We just call her Nati. Now, Nati is a significant other of Ryan Konkin, that young man that was tragically killed in the explosion in Port Weller at Ssonix back in January. His dream was to operate this food truck and make it his lifelong business. And Nati dedicated herself to keeping that dream alive, and she's going to be joining us at about 12:50-ish on the program to talk about that. And Jasudavicius, as I like to call her, Jasmine Jasudavicius, UFC fighter, hails from Niagara. She's here in Niagara now, I believe, probably training at the gym right now. But she was participating in UFC 289. I think that was in BC, right, Kevin?
Yeah, it was.
It is now 3-1 on her young UFC career, and Jazz is going to come by. She's always worth the price of admission, this girl. What a fighter, in more ways than one. She's coming up a little bit after 1 o'clock today. We shall also have a musical guest. As soon as Kevin tells me who that's going to be, we'll let you know.
Yeah, really looking forward to Jazz. I mean, she is as legit as they come.
Oh, yeah.
And the first photo I threw up there was at Niagara Top Team. So people in Niagara that are interested in getting involved in MMA, I know there's that Romero kid from Welland that's done quite well, but people are looking for female inspiration and female guidance in the sport. I mean, hit up Niagara Top Team. You're not going to get any better than an actual UFC fighter.
No.
3-1 now in the UFC. Part of the Canadian sweep out in British Columbia a couple of weekends ago, and I'm so proud of all that Jazz has done.
She's just awesome. Especially considering how she started in this career, which is a story we're not going to go into right now, but another time we certainly will. Kevin, I know we've got just a couple of minutes till Dave comes on.
Yeah.
But there was a big break and enter story on 411 in Port Robinson.
There's that one in Port Robinson. Also want to do the gas station.
The gas station.
And we can push all that stuff to later, Lee.
You want to do it later?
Yeah, we'll do that later. But if anybody saw the video, or the story, it was shared over 1,000 times, over 1,200 shares.
Yeah.
And it had to do with one man's one-sided account of what happened to him at the Regional Gas and Variety Bar. It's a family-owned operation, a family that I know.
Yeah, your neighbors. You live near them.
I went out of the way this morning and said, hey, has anybody actually gone over to them and asked them for their version of events?
Yeah.
What actually happened? And surprisingly, their version of events drastically different than the version of events that has been shared 1,200 times that people have taken as gospel, and she was in tears.
Well, my dad and others used to say there's one side of the story, there's the other side of the story, then there's the real story.
Exactly. And at least I have the other side, and I think the real story is probably
somewhere in the middle.
Yep, probably somewhere in the middle.
Okay, we'll talk about that, and we are going to make sure we talk about it because, as Kevin said, there's like 1,200 shares or 1,200
1,200 shares, and they're dragging this family through the mud.
Dave Bennisson, by trade, is a truck driver, long haul truck driver, short haul truck driver, and thank God he's been honored many times with a clean driving record. Because Dave, every day we hear about some horrendous accidents and incidents with big trucks, and today there was another one in Pickering, explosion and fire so hot it melted 2 trucks and a car. Like, my gosh, I'm glad you're safe, man.
Hey, Lee, can you hear me there?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome, yeah. Actually, you know what? I just got home about half an hour ago, and this is the first I've actually heard of it. So, and I worked, did an 11-hour shift this morning. So.
Wow, yeah, that happened in Pickering, and that's definitely a subject for another time. Now, just so that we can explain what's going on here, we'll answer your questions right now. You're watching Dave hooked up to this apparatus in his home, and Dave has been suffering from kidney disease for years and really didn't know it until recently when the whole thing came to a head. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the very, very few people who is suffering with this malady that is self-medicating, as it were, dialysis at home. Dave, fill us in on quickly on your story and where you are.
Sure. Yeah. So So for the last couple of years, and we've talked about it before, I've been going through kidney problems, and we knew it was coming. But about 5 months ago, I had where my kidneys completely failed, and so I was rushed in.
Oh, we got a bit of a freeze.
Yeah, I just had a drop that was on our end too. So, internet's not playing nice with us today, Lee. Now, Dave is also behind Historical Niagara.
Yeah.
And Nick and... Oh, we got you back there, Dave.
Sorry, Dave, we had a blip, so pick up where we left off.
Okay. Where do we leave off?
We left off with the fact that a few months ago, your condition got more serious.
Yeah, it got more serious. So I was rushed in about 5 months ago and got under dialysis, and they had brought up about doing home dialysis. So we looked into it, and we actually went through there was a whole big process to qualify to get home dialysis. So there's two types of dialysis that most people that do home dialysis are on what they call a perinatal. So it goes through the stomach.
Yeah.
I actually do one. Oh, did we lose you again?
No.
Hello?
We have you.
Oh, okay. I do one. I'm doing home hemo. So where it actually takes my blood out. We did a 2-month training to actually do this. Our house had to qualify.
Okay.
I think there's under 10 people in all of Niagara that actually qualified for home hemo.
So how often do you have to do this?
So I do this 3 times a day, 3 times a day, 3 times a week. So I have to do a minimum of 12 hours on the machine.
Okay.
So what's really cool with this is it allows me to actually do it on my own time. So if I had to go to the hospital, I'd have to book in, and take the times that they provide to me.
Right.
Doing it at home, this allows me to do it on my own time. So I have to do it 3 times a week. I can do it more if I needed to or wanted to, but it's a minimum of 3 times a week for 12 hours to get the best cleansing of my blood. So this machine that I'm on, I'm going to show you the machine here.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you can see it here. So there's my machine. It's actually working right now. Yeah, and you can see it's taking my blood out. So this machine will take my blood out approximately. So we got about 5 liters of blood in us. So it takes it out 20 times in a 4-hour session and cleans and filters my blood out.
Wow.
So
now, is this something that anyone that requires dialysis can do, or do you have to qualify in order to be able to have this option?
Yeah, well, the qualification is they have to come to your house. Your house has to qualify for it. In just a second, I'm being told by the boss. What's that? Yeah, okay.
Boss equals wife.
I'm getting to that. So like my wife's explained it to me. So, so there is qualifications to get it. Besides your house, you have to now I forgot because you threw me off. So,
but you had to take X number of hours or weeks of training, etc.
Yes. Yeah. Now you can hear a buzzing going on.
Yeah.
So that's what happens is this machine will alarm, especially if I move around a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll actually kick off. But yeah, so we actually had to take 2 months of training. To learn the machine, and it's a pretty intensive course to learn how to set this up. It takes us about half an hour to 45 minutes to do the setup on it.
So Dave, we
4
talked
hours.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then about and then it's about half an hour to come off of the machine. So
it's a big commitment, but it's better than having to travel 3 times a week. It would normally be Welland, because I believe it's Welland where an awful lot of the dialysis patients are treated, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Welland, it depends on where you are. Welland, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls all have renal clinics.
Okay.
So, and there we trained in Niagara Falls. That's where the training usually takes place. Great group of people there, and like you say, it was a 2-month really intensive, and it really does change your life because, like I say, I can do this on my own time. So
you can still work.
Yeah, well, like today. So I did 11-hour work day today. I came home. I'm on the machine, so I'll be on this till like 4 or 5 tonight, and then I'm done. So, and if I had to go later, then I could do it at a later time. Or if I had to miss a day, I could do it the next day. But it's on my own time, so it allows me to do it. And go ahead.
So your kidneys, just to update the situation beyond it, your kidneys have basically ceased to function on their own, correct?
Oh, there we go. Oh, I lost you there for a second. What was the question?
Your kidneys have, for all intents and purposes, ceased to function on their own.
Yes. So I went from.
You are on a waiting list, or you are awaiting a donor. Where are you on that spectrum?
Oh, gosh. We got you back, Dave. Did you get that question? Just wondering where you are as far as your journey looking for a donor.
For the donor, yeah. So anyway, right now I'm going through the process. So there is a bit of a process to getting a kidney. And right now I'm doing what's called the kidney lead up. It takes you got to get scanned, because one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that you can't just go get a kidney. There's a whole build up to that to see if you even qualify to get a kidney. And I think that needs to be explained because right now I think there's about 1,500 people on the waiting list to get a kidney in Canada. But there's a lot of people that don't actually qualify. Because of like heart problems or other,
lifestyle issues.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of things. So I have to get all these tests done. So right now I'm in that sort of a phase right now. I am on the donor list, but there's so much stuff that has to go, before it actually can really happen. So actually I did some scans last week, and then actually on tomorrow I'm going for a bunch of scans. A lot of heart issue stuff. That's basically what they're checking. So,
a lot of hoops to jump through, because you've also been struggling. You've also been struggling with the diabetes factor in this, which the two things are connected. Going back to when you actually had a very serious infection in your foot, you've been through a few rodeos along the way.
Exactly.
On this
but
thing.
the one thing about doing the training and learning this is getting the diabetes under control. And that's what I really liked about doing like home dialysis and learning all this stuff, is you actually learn more about your disease, and it shows you how to control it a lot better, and it makes us almost completely independent doing this. And like I say, it's really good. And for people that are interested in this, I get people that ask, like, it is funded, it is covered, there is cost, but it actually didn't cost us a whole lot to have it set up at home. It is all covered under that. And they do have, so the nurses come once a month, they come and check on us, make sure, everything's going good. If we need certain supplies, you can get a PSA worker to help you out. So I've been really lucky. Like, my wife, she took the training with me, and having somebody in the support really makes it a lot easier. I could do this on my own, but having her help out really makes a big difference.
Way to go, nurse.
If I miss something, whatever.
Way to go, nurse.
Nurse Vicky. That's right.
Nurse Vicky. All right. thanks, Dave, for that. I want to, in the interest of time, I mean, we could talk about this a long time, but with regard to the whole kidney experience and the things that you've been through from a health perspective, man, I got to say, you got... if anybody had a positive attitude about everything that goes on in their lives, it's you. And I think I think a positive mental state is part of the cure. Moving on quickly to the other aspect of what we wanted to talk to you about.
Sure.
You are one of the main contributors to posts that show up on Niagara 411 from historical Niagara. Some of your pieces are very, very well received, and I went up with you with your pilot Jim Richardson there, and had some fun one day. But there's something really kind of exciting that is just getting underway tomorrow, and there's a new archaeological project beginning tomorrow. Tell us about that.
Yes. Actually, the archaeological dig that we're talking about started on Monday. And so it's at the John Brown House in St. Catharines, located on Pelham Street. John Brown House, for those who don't know, is the oldest farmstead and farmhouse still existing. It was built in 1796. Make sure I get that right. Yeah. And they've decided they're going to do. They've been doing a big restoration there of the house and some other buildings that have been brought there, and the whole land area, of course, has been there for a long time. So they're actually working with like a certified archaeologist, and they're going to be they're actually started the dig on Monday, and they're going to be looking for, of course, indigenous artifacts that have stuff to do with the house and the Brown family. And of course, that house went through the War of 1812, World War I, World War II. It has a great history, and I think it's great. And one of the things they did was they opened it up to the public to come and join and be part of this dig. Like, where else do you get a chance to do basically Time Team?
Are they still
of Niagara? Right?
Dave, are they still taking applications for volunteers for the dig, or is that still open?
No. So that's kind of my fault, because they asked me to post the dig and on the Monday. So I put it on my thing. Within 1 hour after me posting it, they got over 50 submissions for amateur archaeologists, and it filled up within the hour. Okay. So they had to close the applications. But, of course, they're going to be having open houses there and stuff throughout the year, I would imagine. And there's going to be lots of stuff going on at the Brown homestead.
Dave,
one of the things...
go ahead. Sorry, what organization is fueling this? Who's behind this dig?
Well, it's the John Brown Foundation organization. Okay. They're sort of a self-funded group. They're trying to turn the house into like a living museum. All right. And there's so much great stuff going on there. I have to note, because today is National, I think it's Indigenous Day, and what's really interesting is John Norton. And I put a post out on my thing. John Norton was a Mohawk chief. He was actually instrumental in the Battle of Queenston Heights in the War of 1812. And his house was on the Grand River. And back in 1997, it was moved to the John Brown location, and they're actually doing a big restoration on the house right now, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to hop in. I was showing some points on the map, but it's Pelham Road, pretty much right across from the Short Hills entrance.
Yes.
So if people know that Short Hills on the south side, look to the north side, and that's where you'll see the Brown homestead that's on the screen right there.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. And again, kudos to you for some of those pieces that you've taken time to put together that show up in Niagara 411 through historical Niagara. It's I'm sure a catalyst for a lot of people to get out there and say, you know what, I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to go for a hike, or I'm going to go have a look at some of these places that I never knew existed. And that in and of itself is a bonus. So that's great stuff.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Lee, it's been great getting I get comments to that effect. Thank you for posting this, and they get out there and explore it. And that's part of what I wanted Historical Niagara to be, was to get people involved, to get out and explore these things. You'll notice when I post these, I don't put tons of detail. It's to sort of get your whistle wet, and you go do the exploration.
Great job.
I gotta say, thanks a lot. And just to end this, Historical Niagara, I'm actually going to be doing a talk circuit coming this fall, and keep an eye out. I'm going to be at libraries, some historical places, doing a whole talk with Historical Niagara.
Awesome. Somebody's got a very creative horn out there. Who is that? Or is that us? I don't know. We had a bit of a freeze there, so I'm just gonna bid you farewell.
I think my machine knocks it out. So.
Okay, Dave Bennisson, thanks very much for being here. Good luck with your efforts there at home on the dialysis, and the Historical Niagara stories will continue to follow. Kevin, I want to take a moment out and acknowledge our sponsors once again. Gale's Gas Bars. I do want to give a tip of the hat and send condolences out to the Gale family. Bob Gale, former owner, operator, CEO of the company, who has since turned it over to his daughter Jessica, of course. Bob Gale's sister, Barb, passed away this past week, and to Bob, condolences. She was Jessica Friesen's aunt. Jessica Friesen is now the owner-operator of Gale's Gas Bars Limited. Anyway, our condolences to the Gale family in the loss of their family member this past week. And again, we appreciate their participation in this program, as always, fueling this program almost since its inception. And keep in mind that they are your supplier of fuel oil in the wintertime, gasoline all year round, and they've been fueling Niagara for well over the last 50 years and continue to do so.
Super late.
What did I just hear?
It's just Justin. We're having some internet problems here.
Okay. All right, that's cool. I'll move on. I appreciate Verge Insurance Group. Mark Shirk and his company, another born and bred Niagara company that we're proud to support, and we're proud to have them support us. Hartzell Marine, one of our newer sponsors. This is the third show that Hartzell Marine has been on board, and they're still here, so thank you to Dave DeGrave, located at 96 Ormond in Feulled. And I do want to mention that just by way of a slug line, if you will, for Hartzell Marine, Niagara's only Legend Boats and Mercury Marine dealership. All right, 96 Ormond Street in Feulled. Also to Ace Alignment, 64 North Street in St. Catharines. I want to give a tip of hat to head mechanic Darren and senior mechanic Matt and all the folks at Ace Alignment. They specialize in wheel alignments and brakes and suspension. They're also an MTO motor vehicle inspection station if you need that done for any reason. Front-end repairs, oil changes, servicing all makes and models of trucks, cars, SUVs, including classic cars and tuners. So to Ace Alignment, thank you very much. Now, and the websites couldn't be simpler. Gales.ca, VergeInsurance.com, HartzellMarine.com, and AceAlignment.com to find out more about these businesses that we're very, very happy to have on board. We appreciate it. And to WeeStreem, Canada's premier streaming service, the organization that powers what you see here and hear here on the program. Kevin Jack, of course, our executive producer, you see on the right-hand side of your screen, co-founder of WeeStreem. You guys have been pretty doggone busy, Kevin, and as always, a product, if you watch this program at all or even once, you realize it's second to none on what you would call a TV presentation here.
Thanks very much. One of the things that we're working on right now, and again, small little company born out of St. Catharines in 2015, had a vision and saw that people needed live video production via the internet, and we're putting together now a quote to work for Volleyball Canada because they reached out to us to stream the 2023 National Beach Volleyball Championships for Canada. So small little company right here in Niagara doing some pretty big things, and it wouldn't be the first time that we've worked with Volleyball Canada. Over the years, we've done numerous national and provincial championships, and as you can tell from my voice and the way I'm delivering it, we're quite proud of that.
Yeah. I want to talk about that a little bit more later in the program if we have time. I'm assuming we have Justin ready to join us? Okay, Justin Preston has been on the program before. He's founder of Rise Against Bullying. He is also national ambassador of the Kids Help Phone, and I reached out to Justin earlier this week after I drove by what looked to me like some sort of demonstration, protest, anti-protest, whatever it is, outside the offices of the DSBN. And I didn't know what was going on. And then later I saw that there had been some kind of disturbing posts leveled at Justin and others in his community. And I wanted to find out what's behind it. Justin, hey, thanks for coming in here and being a part of the program. Once again, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. And again, thank you for having me. It's a huge honor. As you seen yesterday, it was absolutely, pardon?
Okay, can I back up though first to the first episode that I'm talking about, the DSBN headquarters incident or day or whatever? Can you give us the background as to what happened there, what brought that about, and walk us up to today?
So it was brought to my attention that there was a protest happening at the DSBN, and for some reason, as you know, with online hate and people's opinions, there was a lot of craziness going on the internet, a lot of homophobia and hate towards the LGBT community based off of the pride flags being raised as well. But when I had arrived, there was a bunch of frontline amazing advocates at the DSBN, very small numbers compared to like the 50, 60 protesters that were there. But once I had arrived, everyone had their backs faced to each other, and we were standing there to be there for the 2S LGBTQ community and for our young youth that experience all this bigotry and hate. And right. From just recently speaking at Port Colborne High, where this high school was just graffitied with homophobic words on the front doors, being the one to be in that school, speaking to those students as well, was heartbreaking. So I felt it was very important to not only be there to stand for our community, but while standing there, it was 3 hours of constant hate, being called a groomer, being told that I was lower than low, and every single person involved that was there was being attacked and screamed at. And we did not engage at the DSBN. We had faced our backs at this time and just did not respond. And it was really heartbreaking to see all these mixed feelings. It was that I was a sinner, or we are all sinners, and this isn't the truth, and we are. It was just really heart-wrenching. And
let me break in here. What were these protesters, for the lack of a better word, what were they protesting? Why were they there?
They had an agenda to protect the kids, saying that they are being sexualized at school with the curriculum based off of identities, claiming there's only two genders, that we're sick for raising this pride flag in the schools, and that it's inappropriate, and that this flag represents pedophilia, and to save our kids. And it was really twisted. It was like everything all at once. Like it was. Was there any particular group behind this, or person or persons or whatever? I mean, who organized this thing? I have absolutely no idea who organized. I do know a lot of people, a lot of hateful, closed-minded people did attend, and the whole time just being reminded that we are all FAGs and saying very derogatory, heartening words. It was really strange, and I felt like I was in 1950, 1970s, like standing there back in the day with the stone wall.
This is what it's starting to feel like. As I mentioned before we brought you on, are we getting this degree of less tolerance now? Let's walk up to yesterday, and I'm assuming it was maybe my assumption is wrong, but I'm assuming there was some sort of connection from the organizers of the DSBN one to the Catholic board demonstration or protest that took place yesterday. Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely. Meaning like two school boards kind of seeing the same vision of their students and protecting their students as well, and being an educational system. I think both as well kind of are seeing on the same page of standing up for the students as well, and just representing those to us LGBT youth that feel like they don't belong in school or out in their community.
Now, what was yesterday's experience like compared to the first one?
So the difference was that the DSBN, I was standing with the people. I was holding a flag and ignoring everything that was being said and reminding everyone not to engage. I did my best not to turn around because I knew the violence and the screaming and yelling. There was no way of talking or having a conversation or even sharing an opinion. There was a yelling match, and we weren't taking part of it. Now versus the Niagara Catholic District School Board, they were having a voting in motion whether or not they were going to fly other flags, meaning the progressive flag as well, or it was just going to be strictly the Canadian flag. So while there was a meeting going on inside, I was personally invited to be inside to sit and listen. And I missed out on all of the outside stuff, but from watching a few videos and seeing my two beautiful little girls and my hubby standing out there proud, and my daughter holding a sign saying, she made it. I didn't even see that she made it. She made it there. And it said, I was raised by two dads my whole entire life, and I turned out just fine. So when I had walked out of the meeting with a group full of amazing people from Pride Niagara to Deb Kears to Alicia to community members, it was really sad to go home and to see all of the aftermath of everyone's different opinions with their beliefs to how they feel that people should raise their kids to.
Yeah. Justin, looking at that picture of your daughter holding that piece of cardboard with that message, you know, as well as I know, that there are people that will just say, oh, well, she's being raised by two people of that community, and she's obviously been brainwashed, and she's going to need some reprogramming somewhere down the line because she's been indoctrinated or whatever into that world. What do you say to people that have, because you know there are people that will say things just like that?
And that's exactly what you have just said, what was even said to my husband on film with a little clip that I got to listen to, and it was heartbreaking. What people don't understand is that everyone is different, and we are a community for one. And unfortunately, there is bullying, there is mental health issues because of people that are very hateful and unkind in the schools. My mind of thinking is, looking at all the people that were using all the F-bombs and swearing like the whole time they were there and yelling at everyone and degrading, it makes me think of what kind of parents are you guys leading as an example and role models to your kids? Because these young people that are going to school are getting this kind of attitude of, I don't like these kind of people or that group or this group, when that's what discrimination is all about. And I really think that we should just really start educating ourselves, maybe not understanding, but learning to understand, because we're in 2023, not 1950.
Agreed. And to follow up on the thing you mentioned about the flags, the school board, the Catholic school board did they denied that proposal to have only the Canadian flag flown at their schools and on their properties, the fact that they would continue to fly flags of their choice. So that showed at least some expansion of tolerance in those locations. And regardless of someone's background or beliefs or whatever, it is just, I just abhor the thought of any human being for any reason being harassed and bullied and made to feel almost less than human. And I'm sorry that you and your community and your friends and family had to go through stuff like that. And I don't know where these cretins come from, and I don't know why they are there. But there was an old Shakespearean quote from one of the plays many, many, many years ago, of course: "Methinks thou doth protest too much." And then you can also use the old biblical quote, if you want to go that far: "Let he who hath no sin cast the first stone." And all those old things. Look inside before you look outside. Justin, I'm sorry you and your friends and family had to go through that stuff, but again, kudos for taking the stand.
Thank you. And even I do want to mention quickly, even during inside of the meeting, there was a lot of people that were closed-minded while the voting was in session and the trustees were speaking, the young people speaking, sharing their stories, getting information from each schools and testimonies and statements. Having people still getting up screaming very, very hateful and unkind things and sitting in the room was so unfair to endure that much homophobia to every single person in that room. And I feel bad for our young people. I really do, that have to have that bravery and courage to walk through the front doors and hoping they make it to school or home.
Yeah, hey, Justin, stand behind everything that you and your group is doing. Peaceful protests so much, and I'm against bigotry, let alone organized bigotry. And just digging a little bit online, it's like, oh gosh, and I've got it on the screen now. There's actually a group that has all of this stuff planned, and it doesn't end because there's another protest tonight at the Silver Spire Church just down the road from us here in St. Catharines. I'm sure you're aware of this, Justin?
I was not aware, and this is how I've been aware of the previous protests.
And I mean, this type of stuff is disgusting. A prayer walk at Silver Spire Church at 6 p.m. in St. Catharines, followed by an adult evening out for drinks and dinner. This church needs prayer because they are doing a drag summer camp.
I'm not sure what graphic you have there up on the...
Oh, okay. Did it not scroll here for you?
No.
Sorry, the internet just dropped there for a second for me, but basically they're going to be at Silver Spire.
This is a speaker from London, Ontario that's coming down.
Well, that's what they're saying at that first event. And sorry, here, I'll see if I can get it up for you. Oh, geez. What did I do there?
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez. Here, I'll get Justin back, so at least you got Justin. But yeah, I mean, and it's terrible that it's organized. Right, and people are looking ahead 2 to 3 weeks
bigotry,
and saying,
yes.
Yeah, organized bigotry. It's one thing for you to, wake up and be a bigot, but it's another to surround yourself by other bigots and say, hey, let's get together and spread bigotry.
Justin, one of the things I wanted to ask you before we have to set you free here is, we see this contingent, for the lack of a better word, out, spreading this vituperative message. And they're talking about their thing is protecting the children. Do you hear from the children? Do you get feedback from the actual students that these people are ostensibly protecting?
I being a person that got to speak to a safe place, a GSA group in Port Colborne, many students came out to support and literally were hugging me and just thanking me for being there in their schools. The thing is too, I had heard that some of them approached my children as well, and someone else said the same thing. You're saying we're luring kids, leave our kids alone. Stop talking to our kids. It's like a back and forth. And I did have the input of many young people that have reached out to me. And at the same time, I feel that you want to be in a safe, calm place than a place that's really ruckus and loud and violent and mean. And I think that's not safe.
Okay, Justin, thanks again for being here. In the interest of time, we are moving on. But again, make sure you keep us in the loop, because this is an important thing that's happening in Niagara these days, and we want to stay on top of it whenever we can. Justin, Preston, thank you for being here again.
Thank you as well.
Bye. Kevin, we're going to roll around. Busy show today, and Niagara focused like crazy. Natalia Sepulveda Lasta, I hope I got that whole name right, known to most of us as Nati, the significant other fiance of Ryan Konkin, a young man tragically killed in an explosion and fire at Ssonix in St. Catharines in Port Weller, actually back in January. Had a dream of operating and did operate a food truck, and it might not sound on the surface like something that is that grand, but it was something that was a dream of this young man. And Nati is here to give us an update on where we are, how she's doing, and that to me looks like a food truck right there. Have we got Nati with us? All right. There she is. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We are well. You are on the job, working hard, I see.
I'm on the job. We had a few customers here, so they just headed over to see the rest of the property. And yeah, this is my new home away from home. My new little apartment with Ryan.
And this is called Ryan's Lounge.
Yes, this is called Ryan's Lounge. As you know, this all started with the help of the community. We had the dream to do it. We bought it.
God, just how the day's going, Lee.
Yeah, just the internet being what it is, depending on where you are. Hang on just a sec, Natty.
Yeah, okay. No, we're good. Just start with where you were at, Natty. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm at 5 Peacock Bay. It's right off of Happy Ralph's. So you can get here through the trail that takes you by the water and all of that through Happy Ralph's. We're steps away from Jones Beach. So right in the heart of the Port Weller community. We serve a lot of the factories nearby. We're just steps away from actually where Ssonix used to be, but we help a lot of the folks here at Eastwood and Star, all of our workers here.
So give us a little bit of a glimpse of what is on the menu at Ryan's Lounge. What do you serve?
Absolutely. So every day we have fresh baked goods. We have a few almond croissants. We have muffins. We have cookies. My mother, she helps me with the sandwiches every morning. So she's hard at work making ham and cheese sandwiches. Every day we change it up a little bit. And then I do... Just give me coffee, regular drip, just like Ryan always loved, and I do all my espresso, the fancy drinks that I would make him.
Now, is this a location that you're going to be in for a while? Like this is your home now?
So this is considered our home base. So the plan with the trailer is that we can still take it to other festivals and other concerts, maybe some days at Port Dalhousie by the carousel when they do those events.
Right.
However, we do see ourselves kind of staying home here for a little bit, just because we all have a vision to make the space really your community backyard, where you can come here, you can play volleyball, you can do your book club, you can sit down, talk to friends, have a date, have lunch with the husbands that are working hard next door. It's just a place where you can call home.
So if I'm coming to you by car, would I take Reed Road off of Lakeshore to come down by Happy Ralph's? Would that be the access, or would it be another one?
Yes, Reed Road, and as soon as you get to Happy Ralph's, you take a quick right, and then just follow it until you get to Peacock Bay.
Awesome. And what hours do you operate, Natty?
So we operate every day except Tuesday. We're opening now 9 a.m. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4:30. However, I'm always here a little bit later if everyone shows up. Okay. I stay open.
Be careful. Be careful about that. You'll be there till midnight.
Exactly.
And then on the weekend as well.
Yes, weekends it's 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. with hopes to extend it as well as the more we get events going here at property at Fine Cannabis, then the more we extend those hours and everything. We're having a Canada Day party as well. So we hope to bring out musicians and the open mic.
I think Ryan would be pretty proud to see that you've kept this dream going. How are you doing? How are you, Natty?
It's highs and lows. He definitely made me a really tough girl. I didn't see it at the start, but I think the lessons he taught me in that short amount of time have always stuck with me, and I feel blessed that he left me feeling not as alone as I did originally. I have a beautiful community. I have beautiful friends that he left me with, and every day it seems like this is a little piece of heaven he kind of created. You know, he worked his magic in a way, and you see synchronicities with everybody you meet and the stories that you learn. I feel like he taught me how to be a better person, and I'm just happy that we can continue this for him. I've always been a romantic, so I'm glad that we can, continue our story this way.
Well, it's wonderful that you have been and are a romantic, because it keeps this romance going with the community. Yes. Have you, just to get a little bit more informational here, if there is any, have you been provided with any more information or any more feedback or blowback or anything with regard to the event itself in which Ryan tragically passed away? Do you know any more now than you did then?
No, not one bit. Actually, the only bit of information that we learned was when it came out in the newspaper about the 11 indictments, and one thing that I can't remember the word specifically that they used, but what they passed to Ssonix in order to be able to continue forward with the investigation, we actually learned that from reporters. So we haven't really been in communication with much. In terms of the investigation, we just know that it's going to take some time, and that there's still more processes that need to be done for it.
Will there be any settlements or compensations or anything? I mean, this was a tragic, needless catastrophe that took Ryan. Is there any? And I know nothing can bring him back. No compensation would be enough. But has there been anything?
So basically, because when a company pays into WSIB, the workers kind of forfeit their right to sue the company, the workers and their family. Mm-hmm. So it's something that you pay into, and in the chance that something like this happens, that there really isn't too many options. There is something that's called the WeeStreem law that is just kind of getting pushed more and more. It's to put criminal time for death, criminal time or a penalty for a death in the workplace. And so that's something that a lot of federations push towards. The Ontario Federation of Labour pushes towards that. When there is an incident like that, they've done it for General Motors.
But this is something in your case that's still pending.
Still pending, yeah. And so that's one of the things. For me, it's been tough because he's my fiance, but I've seen how it's affected his siblings, his family, his brother, his sisters, nieces, friends, and so everyone's been affected, and even people that haven't met him but work in the industry, you see that there's a shift in the way people feel at work and the way people are talking about it now, which is important because it's not something that should be happening.
No, it is important, and I'll trust that you'll keep us informed if any of that. I realize the wheels of justice move slowly, as they say, but hopefully there'll be some positive developments for you and the rest of Ryan's family. And on a positive note, keep on rocking with Ryan's Lounge. You're doing a great job. It looks like a great location, looks like a really nice, relaxing, fun place to be.
Thank you. We can't wait to have you over.
Okay.
I have to share a little bit about that book with you.
Okay. Thanks, Nati. We'll let you get back to your customers.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that this next meeting that we had was a little bit happier than our first phone call.
Absolutely, so. and they'll just keep getting better. So you stay in touch.
Thank you, my friend. You have a wonderful day.
And you, darling. Okay, take care. Dark side to that story, but also a really nice bright side, Kevin, as Natty seems to be coming along great. God bless her.
Yeah, I'm glad that she was able to see that through. When we talked to her there shortly after the explosion, she had said that this was a dream that she and Ryan were putting together and the wheels were in motion. So, amidst all of the chaos that this must have brought to her and her family, to see this to fruition, to have it out there, it's something that the community should support. So if you're up in the North End, in the Port Weller area, stop by, see Nati, grab something.
Indeed. Do we have Jazz in the wings by any chance?
Jazz is coming on in about 5 minutes. She was training from 11 until 1 today.
Okay.
And as you know, that takes precedent. Hey, she's 3-1 in the UFC. I think she's rolled off 2 straight wins now. Mm-hmm. She's becoming a contender in the flyweight division, I believe. So she's definitely somebody to watch out for.
Yeah, and kudos to her because she was coming off, last time we talked to her, it was sort of between bouts. She didn't know when her next fight was going to be. She'd come off her first massive win. And of course, your first fight when you're in an organization like the UFC is a big one because if you win it, you get more opportunities, which indeed she had. And she's pretty much made the most of it, at least up to this point in time. And that's great. Now, Kevin, when did you want to jump into this gas station story? Do I have time to do it now?
Yeah, sure. You know what? Let's do it now.
Okay.
So I'll throw up the story here.
And this is a story that I'm pretty much going to let Kevin carry, but I'll kick it off and then let Kevin pick it up because he's the one that actually pushed forward with digging into this stuff a little deeper. You'll see Joe Procession there put this residents of Niagara, but please forgive some of his spelling, I guess. I have lived in the Niagara region for the past 40 years, and I have never came across such ignorance in my life. So to paraphrase, here's what happened. He went to the gas station up on Niagara Regional Road 81, Regional Variety and Gas Bar. It's up Pelham area, right?
7th and St. Paul.
Yeah, okay.
People know it's the place that's got the great samosas.
So he's going to get gas. 6-year-old was going to his first game of the season. He got a gas station, went to the gas station. It's a full-serve station. He asked for $30. As it turns out, he was over-poured to the point of...
So, I mean, I could continue because the particulars are somewhat important.
You tell it. You tell the story.
I stopped the pump at 43.08 because she was overcharging me and then said, "Ma'am, you've overpumped my gas tank and I told you I needed $30, not 43. She refused to take responsibility for her actions and told me I have to pay for it or she was calling the police. My 6-year-old heard her say that she was calling the police on me for refusing to pay for her mistake. She then demanded that we wait without paying the $30 that I requested and said to wait for her husband to come out and demanded me to pay for it. I then explained to him what happened. He ignored me and responded with, "Don't you make mistakes?" I responded back with, "Yes, but I don't pay for others' mistakes. I own up to my mistakes." And then the son is waiting in the car and he's crying and so on and so forth.
So this is not a nice scene.
He says, "I just gave in and paid it. Just wanted to own up to what they have done." Then they told me to F off and never come back. How professional is this? She then said she doesn't care if I come back to the store because I'm just one person of the hundreds coming to the gas station. For a fact, they do this all the time. I've heard several others having this experience with them. They are con artists. I told them no problem as I was leaving. Then I was driving away. I noticed the husband running after my car, chasing me. I then stopped and said, "What?" He approached my car in anger, raising his fist at me, ready to throw a punch, all while my 6-year-old is in the car. I then stepped out of the vehicle and he backed off. Then his wife came at me trying to hit me with her debit machine in front of my 6-year-old. This escalated more than it should have. This could have been resolved if they owned up to their mistakes and to responsibility. My son was devastated, and it goes so on and so forth, and encouraging people to boycott the gas station.
And the reason we're bringing this up is the fact that this post, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, has been shared like 1,200 times.
Yeah, it's been shared 1,200 times. Let's see here. What does it say on the actual post? It doesn't say there. Oh, sorry. I think if I go in the comments. You see, I mean, it was...
So a lot of people...
1,291 shares.
A lot of people have weighed in on this. Now, Kevin Jack is a nearby resident of this business, and he knows these people. Kevin is a customer of these people, and you decided to say, well, I'm not going to go on third-party information in here. Say, I'm going to go over and talk to these folks and find out from their perspective what happened.
It seemed out of character, and it definitely seemed as though I was hearing one half of a story.
So what other half did you get?
So I went in and talked to the owners and said, "Hey, what about this post that has been shared 1,200 times. And so I'm just going to get ahead here. Jazz, you want to turn your camera for us, okay? We got you like up and down right now. That's better. Just Jazz is in the waiting room.
Yeah,
here,
we'll talk in a bit, Jazz.
So I went over and talked to the family and said, hey, what about this post? And of course they were aware. And in the course of her telling me her side of the story, she was brought to tears. Her side of the story, and I'm not saying that this is the story, she said, I offered him to pay. She said right away, okay, first off, which he alleges, she says, I told him right away, I'm sorry, that's my mistake. On numerous occasions in the post, he says, all I wanted them to do was own their mistake. And she said, that was the very first thing I said. Sorry, that's my mistake. Then said, the next thing that I offered to do was to have him pay the $30 right now that he asked for, and recognizing that he's a regular customer, said, hey, and whenever you can, there was no timeline, next time or whatever, whenever you have the $13, just come and give that to me. And to me, that seemed like a fairly decent resolution, but that is a completely different account of what happened than this person. And the only reason I want to bring it up, because I've heard this side of the story, and I don't know necessarily that that's true. But I also know that I read this post that has been shared almost 1,300 times by Joe Procession. I don't even think that's your real name.
No.
So you're not putting your real name to it. And you're devastating a family and a family business. And we feared this when social media started to take over mainstream media, is that people aren't necessarily responsible with their words. And they don't know that when they put things out like this, they are devastating a family, they are devastating individuals that are on the other end of it with their account and their version of events. So again, he says they never said sorry. She said the very first thing I said was, I'm sorry. He said, no, they demanded that I pay it in full. She says, no, we didn't. I said you could pay $30 and get me the $13 whenever. Now, granted, on both sides, should it have ever escalated to this over $13? No. If I was there, I would have said, you know what, guys? Here's $13. Why don't both of you go your own way and move on with it? But further to that, the issue with the police, she said that it was another customer there that day that encouraged her to contact the police because of Joe's aggressive attitude.
Yeah, and aggressive behavior.
Right. So where's the truth? As we say, Lee, it often lies somewhere in the middle.
If I think, now we can always say, well, if that was me, I would have, fill in the blank. And you never really know because you're not in that situation. But we can try to project what we would do. In my humble opinion, this is just me, if I had been the gas station owner, I would have said, she said it was her fault, but I would have gone a step further and said, my fault, give me the $30, off you go. It's a $13 loss because you made a mistake. Okay, small business, trying to make a buck, I get it, but that would have been the path of least resistance. Now, on the side of the customer, to go to your point earlier, it's gasoline. It's not like he didn't get the product. It's not like he was overcharged for something he didn't get. He got the extra $13 worth of gasoline.
Yeah, that's the small wrinkle in this.
That's a wrinkle. They're saying, at some point in time, I'm going to need another $13 worth of gas.
Yeah, it's gasoline. You're going to use it, and you're going to need it at some point. Maybe you don't have the $13 today.
So both of these positions, and as we've said before, probably the real story lies somewhere in the middle. But both of these positions could have not escalated to that point, and we wouldn't have needed a Facebook page that is damaging a family's reputation and their business for really trivial reasons.
And Lee, just to put a bow on this thing and let people know how it affects individuals, is she was in tears. She told me that she had a threatening phone call to the gas station based on this post, that she and her daughter had sleepless nights, and that a member of the family had been encouraging them to sell the business, and we got to move
because of one customer.
One customer
and one post. This is the dark side of the social media phenomenon. Before we bring on Jazz, I want to thank once again Gales Gas Bars for underlying and underwriting this program for so long. Our premier sponsor here, Gales Gas Bars Limited, Jessica Friesen, owner operator of Gales Gas. Again, our condolences to your family for the loss of Barb Gale. She was a longtime member of the family and well loved, and lost her this past week. So thank you to Gales for sponsoring the program. Verge Insurance Group, thank you so much for staying with us along for this ride as well. And our newest sponsors, Heart Soul Marine, Dave DeGrave up on Ormond Street in Feulled, as well as Ace Alignment, Darren and Matt and the gang at Ace Alignment on North Street in St. Catharines. Thank you very much for joining our team of sponsors that help Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry to keep going. Also acknowledging Kevin Jack, WeeStreem, for the great work you do, and waiting patiently in the green room is a UFC fighter with a record of 3-1, fresh off a win out in BC, is Jasmine Jasudavicius. Hi, Jazz.
Hello, how are you?
Have we got you? All right.
Yeah.
So you're working hard. You're training this morning?
Yeah. I had training this morning. Now back in this evening.
What does a training session involve for you when you go in to spend a training day? What do you do?
Today it was like more striking than grappling today. So we would do mainly our like striking drills, team warm up, and then we'll do like situational kind of like sparring, but not really. It's not like real sparring. It's like situational touch, I guess.
Yeah.
And so my coach will tell us like jab only first round, and then.
Oh, Mr. Internet's doing it to us again.
Yeah, it's been so problematic today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big UFC event.
And then like feint takedowns to your shots, and then we'll get into kind of like more structured combos that the coach will give us that he wanted us to work on. And then afterwards, then we did it was like a little bit more of that kind of like situational stuff, but using what we worked on today. So we worked on a lot of angling in to get your strike and then an exit. And then so it was like doing kind of situations where we're using what we did in class, but now with that in mind.
So you have a record currently of 3-1. It was a win, a loss, and a win, right?
So my record for my pro career is 9-2.
9-2.
But within the but within the UFC, I'm 3-1 within the UFC.
So that's gotta still set you in pretty good stead with Dana White and the gang. They must be pretty proud of you.
Yeah, just not cooperating today.
The internet is not cooperating.
Yeah, so Jazz, I mean, we've been following her career. She's made her way up through the ranks of Canadian MMA, and that's where she compiled that record of 9 wins. But since UFC, I think Jazz, it was win, loss, and then back-to-back wins.
Right.
And I'm so inspired by that because, as you know, your life as a professional MMA fighter hangs in the balance with every match. So if you were to string together a couple of losses, but it's gone the other way, and now you've run 2 victories back-to-back, boy, what's next, Jazz?
I'm not too sure what's next. I mean, I've got 15 girls that I'm trying to get a fight with on my way up to try to get that belt. So I'm trying to, do my thing, and if it takes calling them out on social media, or if I'm gonna just go through management and try to get a match there. There's so now that I'm like the 15th person, I'm on that bubble there. And so I'm going to just try to keep continuing to climb the ranks.
So do you people in this field do that? Do you trash talk on social media to try to get a buzz going?
Well, I mean, not really like trash talk, but I mean, you watch the girls in your division and you see what are favorable matchups for you, and you try to get that match. So that's how I actually got this past fight, was after my last fight. Then the girl watched it, and so she said, oh, I want to fight this girl. So she put something out on social media, and then she also, like, you will message the person as well. Just like, it depends on how you want to do it. Like, she was very respectful and said, hey, great performance. I would love to share the octagon with you sometime when you're back up and going. So, I mean, it would probably be like something like that. Or, I mean, there is some people that have real beef and they'll actually like call it out, but it kind of depends.
So you said there are 15, and you said you're on the bubble. Is is that a magic number? Is it like 15? How do you measure what's on the bubble? Like how many people are involved here?
So yeah, once you hit 15, that's kind of when you start to get like known, and then it's like 15, and then 10, and then from 10, it could be like you could match up with anyone. Okay. But you know that right now I'm the only ranked UFC fighter in Canada, wow. So that's because I have that 15 beside my name.
So you're in that coveted 15th spot right now.
Luckily, yes.
And is that based on record?
It's based on who you fight and your record.
Okay.
So the girl that I just fought, she was number 15 in the world. So I beat her, so then I take that spot.
All right, so you're now number 15. If you were to fight number 10, say, you could get bumped up to 9?
Potentially, yes. They like the ranking systems, they kind of choose it themselves depending on how you perform against that person, but yeah.
So that must go somewhat into your thinking if you're trying to arrange, or your management is trying to arrange fights, and you're watching these other girls fight and ply their trade. Do you sit there sometimes and think, I don't think I'm ready for her, but I think I'm ready for her? Like, do you go through that kind of analysis?
I mean, I feel like once you're at 15, you should be kind of down to fight anyone at that point, okay, because you're at that stage. But yeah, when I first got into the UFC, there was a time when, like, say I would watch, or being the fighter, I think I'm beating everyone, you know what I mean? but that's why I have a great team and great coaches that I trust, that like they will choose, okay, this is a good match for her, this isn't a good match for her, and then it's kind of like that.
Okay, Kev?
Yeah, Jazz, just have a quick question for you. I'm assuming, and I don't know this, not an MMA fighter, but with every fight, does your opponent expose a weakness in your game and then you get back to the gym and try and correct that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Regardless of your win or loss, you're back in the gym and you're working as if it was a loss, and you're nitpicking your fight and seeing what you're doing wrong. Right. What are your tells? How somebody is going to watch that fight and try to beat you.
An awful lot. You must watch an awful lot of tape, as they used to say in the football world. Now it's all on digital, but the greatest football players in history and other athletes would watch hours and hours and hours of not just their performance, but their opponents' or potential opponents' performance, or the upcoming fights, or whatever. You and your team must spend an awful lot of time doing that kind of stuff, I would think.
Oh yeah, tons. We're watching fights every day. If it's like choosing an opponent for one of the guys, I'm still interested in, I like watching who the guys are fighting. But then in addition, any girl that's in my weight class, I'm making sure I'm tuning in on her fights on fight night. But also I'm watching these girls because I know that I'm gonna fight them one day, or potentially fight them one day. So I'm trying to get those tells and those reads kind of like years in advance.
Does this top 15, is that just in your class? Like what do you, did I read that it's a flyweight class that you're in?
Yeah, flyweight, so 125 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I'm the number 15th ranked girl in the world at 125 pounds.
All right, yeah, so it is broken down that way. So you've got now, how do you feel physically today compared to what you might have felt like 3 years ago, or whenever you got started? And you trained hard to start your career that's currently 9-2 or whatever, but do you feel more powerful and seasoned and stronger than you did when you started? Like, how different do you feel?
Yeah, I feel a lot different. You know, I've been in the sport for a long time now, and so I've been able to develop the confidence. Like I know what I'm good at, and I know what I still need to work on, and I continue to work on those things. But in a fight, I stay out of those things, and Yeah, so it's a continual process.
Do you ever get concerned, or does it ever cross your mind about when you're old like me, what you're doing to your body today? Do you ever consider there might be something down the road that you're not really pleased about?
Yeah, I definitely think of that, but I am probably the healthy, like I think about my friends. I'm 34 years old. I think about my friends, I look at my friends, and I'm a lot healthier than all of them. Like they go to the gym maybe once or twice a week. The only thing that is unhealthy that I'm doing is like that cutting weight at the very end. But other than that, I live a very healthy life. I have to eat clean and healthy every day. Mm-hmm. I have to, make sure my sleep is on point. Like I have to live a very healthy lifestyle. And so anytime you're in the gym and I know that I'm taking punches in the head, I don't want to have brain damage when I'm older or anything. So I'm making sure that I go and do like my checkups to make sure that my brain isn't going crazy and I don't even know about it. They do all the
well,
testing.
we don't want you to get there. We don't want you to get there either. It seems every time we talk to you, though, you're not quite sure what's coming next. It's almost like you're always living on the edge, waiting for your next job. That's got to be a little bit stressful. Like, okay, when am I going to go to work again? And I think we got another freeze going, but she'll be back.
Yeah, it's been
the scourge of our existence today.
Yeah, it hasn't been cooperating. But nice. I want to let you know, Lee, that coming up on the end of the show, we are going to feature Gravely James.
Gravely James.
Him and his band just won 97.7 Hits FM Rock Search.
Okay.
They just won Rock Search there the other week, and the guy behind it, I won't give out his real name, he's somebody that I had worked with a few years back, and just an absolute pleasure to work with him. So happy to everybody in that band. But we got Jazz back, and we could just wrap things up with Jazz.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jazz.
Sorry, we had...
Sorry about that. I don't know. My connection must be off.
That's okay. Not a worry. Anyway, I just wanted to get you back long enough to congratulate you again on a terrific career so far that's only just going to get better. And keep us posted on what your schedule is. We want to talk to you more. And thank you for representing us so well. Congratulations on your achievement so far. It's awesome.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure chatting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jasudavicius, as I call her. Jasmine Jasudavicius. Just an incredible dedication that she got into almost by accident because her boyfriend was a fighter, and she said, I think I could do this, maybe. And look how far she's come now. 3-1 in the UFC, 9-2 in a career. Gravely James is going to be joining us. Once again, Gales Gas Bars, thank you very much for being our title sponsor here of the program. As always, a pleasure. Virgin Insurance, Hartzell Marine, Ace Alignment, thank you so much. Kevin, as usual, a masterful job under some stressful internet conditions today, but also we enjoy working with WeeStream every couple of weeks. And everybody, stay involved, stay good, be well, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Our next show might be probably not on a Wednesday. We might be on a Monday or Tuesday next show.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out. Lee, so Gravely James, band here. I know the main guy, Chris, I think lives in St. Catharines. Band from across Niagara. They entered 97.7 Hits FM's Rock Search, and they just won it. They were in studio yesterday playing a brand new song called Talk to God.
Okay.
I think they might be streaming that already over at 97.7 as Rock Search winners. And the debut single from them comes out actually tomorrow. So we're going back. This is a song called Honey, and it was recorded live on Airstrippin' with Betty Lou. And that's a show that originated out of Niagara with some professional production. And it's from about a year ago, but look them up.
And that does it for June 21st, first day of summer. Happy solstice for season 4, episode 14, Niagara 411 live with Lee Sterry. Catch you in a couple of weeks.
Welcome back to another episode of Air Streaming with Betty Lou. Tonight on deck, we have Gravely James.
I'm not the one to say it ain't going well, say it ain't going well, say it ain't going well. I'm not the one to say it ain't going well, but honey, I know that you can tell. And I don't need much, but honey, I need your love. Honey, I need your love. Honey, I need your love. I don't need much, but honey, I need your love. Tell me, honey, ain't that enough? Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough? When money's tight and times are tough. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough, honey? We'll work it through, work through the rough. I can hear your pain, honey, hear it in your throat. Hear it in your throat, hear it in your throat. I can hear your pain, honey, hear it in your throat. Your murmur hushed on the telephone. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough? When money's tight and times are tough. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough, honey? We'll work it through, work through the rough. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough? When money's tight and times are tough. Ain't that enough? Ain't that enough, honey? We'll work it through, work through